Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
This time on the Kindness Project, musical instruments, the Kindness Project format, and the 5 side effects of kindness.
Hi and welcome to episode 4 of the Kindness Project. I'm with Charlotte J. Dames, officially the most excitable 14-year-old in the world.
And I'm with the one-of-a piano man, Chris Dave.
I've always aspired to play the piano. I don't know about you. It's one of those things that has been on my bucket list for years now. But I know you're learning ukulele at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah. I don't know an awful lot. Well, I say I don't know an awful lot. But
I think you're quite good.
there's like loads of different chords, and I tend to stick to the basic ones and just enjoy playing.
Yeah. What's your favourite song to play on the ukulele?
I like to
Say Cribbins. Please say Bernard Cribbins.
I actually haven't done a Cribbins song yet.
Oh, what?
Because,
what one would you pick?
Hole in the Ground.
Oh, Hole in the Ground. Not Right Said Fred.
No.
Okay.
But some songs are like really difficult to find, and sometimes what I do is I use a website and it gives me a recommended list of songs that they think I should play based on the ones I've already done.
Okay.
So I just usually click on one of those.
Is one of those Seven Nation Army? Because you seem to play that quite a lot.
That's from school. I learned how to do that at school.
Okay. And what one do you enjoy playing the most?
No, there's a couple. Sharp and Dance, Take Me to Church, I quite enjoy playing.
Take Me to Church is an awesome track. Yeah. Have you done any Paolo Nutini yet?
Yes.
Okay.
I did once or twice try New Shoes.
Okay, fair enough. So one of my aspirations is to learn how to play piano, and because I've now been officially dubbed #Jazzman, whatever that means, I suppose I better learn how to play jazz piano at some point in the future.
I actually learned how to play All That Jazz on piano at one point.
All That Jazz is a good track. Can you play piano or not?
Bits and pieces. I can play Stressed Out, All That Jazz. A couple of bits that I can't remember, but they make us play piano at school, so obviously...
Yeah, you've done a bit of it.
Yeah.
So... we're in week 4 now, Charlotte. You enjoying the podcast recording so far?
Yes.
Cool. You don't sound particularly sure, but thanks for your enthusiasm and your encouragement. It is a laugh. It's good fun. But what I want to do for our listeners is just to explain a bit about the format of the Kindness Project and a bit about why we're doing it. So we did speak about this in episode 1, but I want to just do a quick recap. And the reason we're doing this is because all we want to do is spread a little bit of kindness, happiness and joy to the world. And if we can talk about how people are doing that already and sharing stories of kindness and news of kindness, we'd like to do that. Sharing the love. #sharing the love. We want to share the love a bit. Now, the format of each episode is going to go like this. Firstly, we're going to do a little bit of an introduction, and on every podcast, we're going to have a podcast question of the day. And you don't know what that question is, do you?
God, here we go.
It's coming up. Then what we're going to do is share some good news stories of kindness from around the world. And we've got kindness stories from America, Canada, Germany, Australia, and even Romford. I've got a kindness story from Romford in Essex. I know. I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you about it soon enough. So we're going to be sharing some stories of kindness around the world. And then we're going to have a sort of 10-15 minute slot, which is going to be all about one particular story or an interview or something we're trying to do. That's going to be the main event. And then what we're going to do after that is share some listeners' stories with you. So we actually think this isn't about us, Charlotte and I. We'd like your stories of kindness so we can share them with the rest of our listeners. And let's just tell people how they can get in touch. So we're on Twitter.
Hola, kindness.
Hola, kindness. What's the matter with the accent?
You're pronouncing the H too much.
The problem is, Charlotte, you do it in your Cockney accent because you do hola, kindness. It's actually with a H, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a soft H.
Is it a soft H or a hard H? Is it a soft or a hard H?
Hola, it's hola.
Right. It's HOLA kindness on Twitter. Our email address is...
Hola!
Hey! We got the holla right.
Kindness Project.
So it's holler at thekindnessproject.co.uk, and you can find our website on thekindnessproject.co.uk too. So please get in touch with listener stories. Please.
And individual Twitters.
Oh yeah, let's do our individual Twitters as well. So you can find me at Chris Dames. D for Delta, A for Alpha, E for Echo, M for Mother, S for Sugar. And you can be found, Charlotte, at
Charlotte J Dames. So Dames spelled the same way. Charlotte spelled CHARLOTTE.
And there's a J in the middle, right?
There's a J in the middle.
So we think that sharing stories of kindness, interviewing people who are doing really good work to share kindness in the world, is just something that we can do to improve everybody's overall kindness level and everybody's overall happiness. Even if it is in a tiny, tiny little way, we want to try and help do that. Now, are you ready for Question of the Week? What was that? I don't know.
Let me try.
Go on in. Are you ready for
Question of the Week.
That's not bad. We'll try a different one next week. But let's have Question of the Week. So
Is it philosophical like last time?
well, no, it's not philosophical because we failed miserably at answering a philosophical question. But the question of the podcast is: what country is on the top of your must-visit list?
Japan.
And why?
So I love watching anime, which is obviously originated in Japan. And I think it'd be quite nice to go and see the place where something I thoroughly enjoy comes from. And obviously, I'd like to see a lot of the culture.
Yeah, it's a fascinating culture. Japanese culture.
And it's whereas here, I think they're more polite over there.
Yeah.
As well, their culture is a more polite society.
So I've heard mixed things about Japan. I think their culture is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. But I think it's a very hierarchical culture, I've heard.
Yeah.
And that can create pressures on people that aren't healthy. I want to visit, and I've only been once, the happiest country in the world, in a lot of polls, each and every year, Denmark.
Did we go to Denmark?
You know what? We went to Denmark years ago, and we went on a ferry that was an overnight ferry from Harwich. Got on this ferry, got to Denmark. We were there for 5 hours, and everything was shut.
Yeah.
So we went to a place called Esbjerg, and the most famous thing about Esbjerg is 3 men looking out to sea. Now, I'm not sure whether we got a really good representation of Denmark when we went, so I've got to go back. Yeah. And I've got to go to Copenhagen. That's the top of my list.
And obviously, we've been talking about doing Tomatina as well.
Yeah, I fancy Tomatina, actually.
Sounds fun.
I fancy Tomatina, so chucking tomatoes at random strangers should be on everybody's list, I think. But we'll get round to doing that as well. So what we'd like to do is hear from you. So not only with stories of kindness, but to answer the question of the podcast, what is on top of your must-visit list? Now that's enough whittering from us for 1 week. Should we get on with the show?
Yeah. Hello and welcome to week 4 of...
Hello.
Hello and welcome to week 4 of Kindness News. We are going to be sharing kindness stories from around the world.
Yeah, but you know what? Today, we're not venturing far. So we're only venturing up into London. I mean, that might be far for some of our listeners, but not too far for us. And I want to talk about the kids in a hospital called Great Ormond Street Hospital. Now, Great Ormond Street is known around the world as being one of the best children's hospitals in the world. And it talks about some of the work the nurses do. This news article that I found talked about some of the work the nurses do to make sure even if children are in hospital over the Christmas period, they still get to enjoy the benefits of Christmas. And there was a nurse, senior staff nurse, Hannah Sharman, who spent her time in a particular ward laying out gifts for the kids overnight while they slept so they can be unwrapped in the morning. Now, I know you've been in hospital and Sophie's been in hospital. It's a really difficult time for both parents and kids.
Yeah.
So And it's probably especially at Christmas.
Yeah,
I think.
especially at Christmas because it's kind of a special family time.
Yeah, absolutely. So the fact that she went out of her way to make sure that 250 kids, that's a lot of work, woke up on Christmas morning and had gifts. So Miss Sharman said, and guess where she's from? Where all the best people are from, East London.
Woo!
You know, it's a good place. But she said, I would always give up any of my time to be with the children who are unfortunate enough not to be able to go home and spend Christmas with their families. Just being able to put out the presents for them and watch them wake up in the morning with a smile on their face is just the best feeling in the world. And what they also do is staff put on silly hats and reindeer antlers, play games with the children who also get Santa visiting them just before Christmas. So not only do Great Ormond Street Hospital do awesome medical work to help these children, they also care enough to make sure that they're not left feeling left out at Christmas. So what do you think of that?
I think it's a really nice idea because if I was stuck like in a room all the time, I think I'd probably be pretty bummed half the time. Just like kind of really unenthusiastic about it. But they sound like a group of nice people.
They do.
And I think that would probably make it a better experience.
I think nurses in particular are usually nurturing, caring people naturally.
You have to be.
But to go above and beyond at that time of year, I think is awesome work.
Yeah.
So well done the nurses at Great Ormond Street Hospital for the work you're doing, and we'll see you for more kindness news next week. So, Charlotte, I've been reading a really good book about kindness recently.
Yep.
It's called The 5 Side Effects of Kindness by David R. Hamilton. And Dr. Hamilton talks about how kindness is good in a number of ways you don't expect.
Yep.
So one of the ways that he talks about is how kindness is actually good, and we're going to get scientific now. Scientific. Because apparently kindness is really good for your heart. Now, do you know how?
Kindness, chemicals in the brain, something to do with... No.
Yeah, so it's more hormones, and there's a specific hormone called the love hormone. Would you like that? How would you do it? Is that cough again?
The love hormone.
So, do you know what that love hormone's called?
No.
So it's called oxytocin. And oxytocin is generated, it's naturally in your body, but it can be higher and lower in different ways, and it's generated by a number of different things. Interestingly, it's known for its role in breastfeeding. So when mums give babies breast milk, there's oxytocin contained in that. However, the body can naturally generate oxytocin, and they can do this in a number of ways. So oxytocin is generated through feeling elevated, feeling really happy.
Yep.
So if you're happy, your body is naturally generating more oxytocin. If you comfort somebody, that connection, that bond, generates oxytocin. Warm emotional contact generates oxytocin. Supporting a friend or loved one.
Wait, what's it called? Oxytocin?
Oxytocin. Yeah. Just thinking about being kind apparently generates oxytocin.
And you said this is all good for your heart?
Yeah, it's good for your heart. I'll explain why it's good for your heart in a minute. But hugging, just giving somebody a good cuddle.
Hug.
Yeah, see, I like a good hug. Hugging's not for everybody. I know that there's certain people who aren't too keen on a cuddle, but certainly I do love a good hug. And the way they explain the benefits of oxytocin is they talk about Harry Potter. So you might like this. And they explain it through a scientific process called oxidization. So think
Go on,
tell us what oxidization is.
It's like if you have an apple and you bite into it, and the chemical reaction between the apple and the oxygen in the air causes the apple to go that brown colour that everyone tries to avoid when eating an apple. Yeah,
that's right. So oxidization has an impact on apples, but it also has an impact on the body. What do you think Harry Potter spectacles have to do with it?
I don't know.
So the process of oxidization, if you think of the molecules like sort of oxygen as O2, so there's two circles, 2 O's. That's Harry Potter's spectacles. Oxidisation is like Voldemort. We're talking about Voldemort again. That happened in the last podcast. Splitting the Harry Potter's glasses and splitting the oxygen molecules. Now, apparently that's not particularly good for you because do you know why?
Isn't it because like oxygen has to come in pairs? That's why when you write like a formula, it has to come as O2 and not just O.
Well, not necessarily, because oxygen molecules apparently can come as a single molecules, but they're different. They're called free radicals, and free radicals has too many free radicals in the body has an impact. And
Wait, why are they called free radicals?
because they're free, man, they're just free on their own.
Yeah, well, that's kind of lonely.
Well,
I don't want to be lonely.
It is a bit lonely, but apparently the body's got ways of coping. So the body can create things called antioxidants that are willing partners of the free ones that match with the free ones, so they're not lonely anymore. So the body has a way to cope with the impact of these free radicals. But even so, free radicals, too many free radicals in the body, according to Dr. Hamilton's book, has a really negative impact on your heart. So it's a cause of oxidative stress, which is too many free radicals in the body.
So how do you get too many free radicals in your body?
So I don't know, to be honest. I mean, we'll have to get Mr. Dr. David Hamilton to answer that because I'm not sure. But apparently, oxidative stress plays a big role in cardiovascular disease. It's also linked with Alzheimer's, chronic fatigue, arthritis, Parkinson's, and a number of other serious conditions. So, effectively, one of the ways to solve this problem is apparently to be more kind, because kindness produces oxytocin, which can reduce inflammation.
So what's oxytocin?
Oxytocin's the hormone, the love hormone. So it's the one you get from hugging, caring for people.
Okay.
Even just thinking about being more kind generates oxytocin that combats the free radicals. The weird thing is, I think the phrase free radical sounds quite cool.
Yeah, me too.
I'd like to be a free radical, but the more I read about them, the more that I think...
They sound less free and
Yeah.
more like they're going to weigh you down for the rest of your life.
Yeah, so the weird thing is, although we think about kindness as making other people feel better, and we've spoke before about how kindness can make us feel better, actually it can also protect our heart and makes our heart feel better. What do you think about that?
I think that's kind of a cool thought, because like we always assume if we're doing something kind, it's for others, but actually it makes us actually healthier.
How else do you think it protects the heart? What else could it reduce?
Soul.
Yeah, the soul. Well, it is the love hormone, oxytocin. But actually, it's also, I mean, you think about kindness. I don't think I've ever felt kind and stressed at the same time. So in the book, Dr. Hamilton talks about the fact that kindness is also an antidote to stress, so it can offset the impact stress has on our hearts. It's an additional reason why kindness is actually good for our hearts.
Oh, cool.
So have you learned something new today?
I have learned many new things.
Many new things.
I've learned about the love hormone.
You've learned about the love hormone. Have you learned about free radicals, man?
Free radicals,
And even
man.
though they sound awesome, they might not be good for your body.
They sound pretty free, man.
No, you sound free, man. But yeah, so today's message is kindness is good for the heart.
And healthy.
And healthy.
So, Charlotte, we've reached the end of another Kindness Project podcast. Don't you think that one,
Not bad, if you know what now.
I really enjoyed it. However, we're getting close to the end of the podcast, but we're not right at the end because we've got to answer.
Wait, let me do a drum roll.
Oh, good sound effect. Thank you. Last week's question of the podcast. Answered this week from last week, but doing it this week. So can you remember what last week's question of the podcast was?
Oh, I think it was the really philosophical one about eggs. No. the one after that. Are most people generally good?
The question was, are most people generally good? And we had a really diverse response to the question, are most people generally good? But interestingly, a lot of people struggled with it as much as we did, because it's not a question that's particularly easy to answer. And let me give you some of the answers we got.
So some of the answers we got were... Drum roll.
So Lee Harris said, I used to view people on how I view myself. And as I think I'm a good person, I took people on face value. As I matured, I realised that that isn't always the case, and there are some real idiots out there. Thankfully, I think most are decent. I agree with Lee in terms of viewing people how you view yourself, because I think if you think you're a good person, you view, with the odd exception, most people are generally good. But Lee wasn't the only person who commented, was he?
No.
So what was some of the other comments?
Alan Hopgood, I hope I'm saying his name right.
Alan Hopgood, yeah.
He put yes, generally, unless they're driving.
Yeah, so weirdly, in our family, I don't drive that much, do I?
Nope.
And if I am, I'm probably the bloke who's annoying Alan by driving. So apologies for that, Alan. I'll try and be a better driver next time. How about Mikey? Mikey's a regular contributor now. He contributed last week as well.
Ooh. Well, he said, I think that's a very deep question. Being good is trained, and as can being selfish. From young, the way we know life, the way we're shown. What's that from?
Well, interestingly, it goes back to what we're trying to do. It's like sort of what role model will show you how to be good. And I think, what do you think about being good? Do you think being good's a choice, or it just comes naturally?
I think.
Or is it learned?
Oh, it's difficult. It's learnt, but it's also a choice. But for some reason, it's a combination of all three.
Yeah.
But I think some people, it comes naturally because of the way they were raised and the certain environments they were raised in, I suppose. Yeah. So it does kind of matter.
Yeah, so environment matters. It's not in your genes, no?
Not my genes.
Okay. Is it in your genetic makeup?
Not my makeup either.
Oh, God, they get worse and worse and worse. You just ruined me telling that story. And for once, somebody asked me what I think. And I said in a comment on Facebook that I think most people are good, but the definition of good is perceived differently depending on who you are, because you're all heroes of your own story. Heidi came with us with a comment, and she said,
everyone has capacity to be good and do good, and then make a choice. Mostly we choose to do good. Don't think anyone genuinely wakes up with the intention of being a bad person.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Darren just went down the rabbit hole and said, I think you may need to start with what your definition of most, generally, and good is. So I suppose that depends on the individual, because what you perceive as generally good, I might perceive as generally all right. Or
so what do you perceive as most? So I think that's a solid 75%.
51% of people is most, isn't it? Statistically, or not?
So statistically, yes, but most would have to be a good 75%.
75% is most. Okay, interesting. So we had, interestingly, for a conversation we struggled with, many people said most people are generally good in their personal opinion. Brett Davidson, Tim Morris, Karina, Justin Gaffney had an interesting
he wrote
comment.
A paragraph.
He wrote a whole paragraph, and he said...
He's not the only one, too.
And he said, in essence, yes. However, I think very few people have an unwavering moral imperative. When temptation presents, I think most people can easily be swayed to do not necessarily what they know is right, but give in to temptation to think they can get away with it. I think there's always an element of temptation that comes into play, but I like to think that most people do the right thing and not the easiest thing most times. And our old friend Claire Walsh, who was kindness story of the week last week, right? Claire was kindness story of the week last week.
One of the kindness stories, yeah.
Said 100%. And I feel pleased that other people concur. Believing that most people are fundamentally good is good for us too. And we've agreed with that, because if you've got a positive life perspective, it's helpful for us. I can think of two people I know who think the opposite, and that makes, i.e. most people are generally self-motivated and not up to any good, and that one should always keep one's back up. And I think that makes for a much more miserable experience. Claire, I'm with you 100% on that. I think you're absolutely right. You choose how optimistically you want to see the world. But I know, even through my rose-tinted glasses, it's quite a good place to live.
Some people have just given the simple answer.
Yes. Jenny Goldsmith just said
Yes.
Most people, they just said yes. Most people are good. And to illustrate that most people are generally good, we've got some more listeners' kindness stories. So do you want to sort of
Okay,
do the
I'll
first one?
read them out.
Yeah.
Okay, so my nan.
Your name?
My nan.
Good old Robbie White.
Roberta
And
White.
she's had a
She down her nose in a couple of our podcasts now.
she's been in a couple of podcasts. Namely, she got told off for not mentioning any Harry Potter characters.
And then after we recorded it, she commented a Harry Potter character.
She did. She didn't mention Voldemort though.
Okay. She commented. She commented a couple.
What things do you do that are kind?
Okay, so she makes dinner for John, his granddad. She bought him some nice jeans, and she's looking after one.
Granddad's got jeans. He might be in his jeans.
And she's looking
I wonder if he's got makeup. I wonder if it's in his genetic makeup.
Okay. And she's looking after one of her granddaughters, so her parents can have a weekend away. She said, "I think that is being very kind."
Yeah. So we spoke last week, didn't we, about how sometimes the tiny acts of kindness are the more important ones. So I think you're right. Kath Keat said, "I left a guy who only needed a gift card go in front of me at Waitrose." Now
that's actually quite a kind thing.
It is a kind thing, but you're opening the thing to queue jumping then. Do you know what I mean? It's like sort of...
I think it's actually a kind thing because most people, they get really aggravated when they see someone. So it's not only letting them go in front of you, it's also opening yourself up to a little bit of aggravation from others.
You know, yeah, because there's other people in the queue. But life's too short to worry about a 2-minute wait at a queue, isn't it? Not that
Sometimes you can wait for an hour.
Not that I go shopping that often, so I don't care. But Anna Lasani had a comment. Anna Lasani took some fruit and flowers into my neighbour who had just come out of hospital after a minor op. Also, the lady at the nail bar didn't charge me for my daughter to get her nails done, as it is her birthday. What a lovely gesture. So 2, again, really small, simple acts of kindness, which proves categorically that most people are generally good. So, we're still after your acts of kindness. We still want to hear stories of kindness. And where can people get in touch with us, Charlotte?
Hola, kindness.
Hola, kindness. So that's HOLA kindness on Twitter. You can get in touch with us on our own Twitter bios, and that's Chris Dames' Twitter handles. Is that the right phrasing?
Yeah, bio is the bit you write yourself.
Of course it is, yeah, of course it is.
And it describes you.
Yeah, so thanks, Charlotte. So Twitter handles, I'm at Chris Dames, D for Delta, A for Alphabet, E for...
Egg.
M for Murgy Masala, and S for sugar.
I thought you were going to say sweet.
I'll say sweet next time.
Yeah.
What's your Twitter handle?
Charlotte C. I actually know my bio off by heart. Cool. I'm not going to repeat it though. Charlotte CHARLOTTE J DAEMS.
Is it Charlotte JJ Dames?
No, it's Charlotte J Dames. But obviously, if I'm spelling it all out, then I have to tell people how to spell J because sometimes people assume that it's JAY or
But you can find all of our information on the Kindness Project website, which is www.thekindnessproject.co.uk. So until next time, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Kindness Project.
Cheerio!